Welcome to Toy With Me Live, a show that discusses kink, community, and connection with zero shame and plenty of sparkle. On tonight's episode, your is whack. We will be talking about a topic that is taboo and possibly more common than we care to admit: bad sex. I am your host, Lotus Love, aka Madam Trixie, and I am here with my guest for tonight, Kat from the Meow University. Welcome back to the show. It is always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here again.
Thank you. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
Sure. My name is Kat. I'm the founder and dean of the Meow University, where we handle adult sex education classes and events through inner work, techniques, and entertainment.
Thank you, thank you. And also, hello, Keitaji. Welcome back to the set of Toy With Me. Thank you for coming here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back. My name is Keitaji. I am a social worker, therapist, yoga student, PhD student, and I'm just really grateful to kind of be here and continue to talk about these really interesting and important topics with you all.
Thank you, thank you. This show is live from Project VIDA, and we are here to create engaging spaces where audiences can explore themselves and curiosity about kink in a supportive environment. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. Since I can't get introduced, my name is Jerome Montgomery, and I am your co-host today. But also, I have the honor of serving as executive director here at Project VIDA, and I'd like to thank you all here on the panel, as well as the audience online, for joining us today. So as we talked about, we'll be talking about bad sex. But first, let's talk about consensual sex, because we're talking about consensual sex. So when we're talking about consensual sex, we're talking about bad consensual sex. So what is consensual sex, or how do we define consensual sex?
I go first? I define consensual sex as something clear, that you can communicate enthusiastically, like you could say yes. It is free from any coercion or begging. You don't have to do that. It's freely given. And as it is freely given, it can also be freely taken away. For example, I'm an adventurous person. So a lot of times I will say yes. But then I get into it and I realize this might not necessarily be my jam. And consent is giving me that space, that safe space to say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. So that's me with consent.
Yeah, thank you so much for setting the foundation for that. I would say in regards to consent, and what I'm thinking about, it would be what you just shared, and paying attention to some of those subtle cues that the body may have, actually making sure that yes, it is an enthusiastic yes, I am interested in this, like you said, sharing what you are interested in doing, and also noticing as the person who's in that conversation with somebody, what other person's body may be giving, what kind of nonverbal cues could be present, So yeah, I think for me, consent is that agreed upon, yes, I am interested in doing these things with you in this space, with either, whatever that looks like, whatever that arrangement is for you, making that happen, and it being something that's enthusiastically, excitedly, and without coercion, agreed upon.
I want to say that everything you all said was something that I would add. I want to put emphasis on that consent is not an ongoing thing. It is a constant check-in. Like you said, I may have decided yes at first, but I do reserve the right to then my yes then later on can turn into my no. And so consent is something that I believe should be constantly checked in on. and being very clear. I don't want to have any assumed yeses. I like clarity, so that there's no confusion on my end as it pertains to sex. So, what do you want to add something to
I
that?
think you all have done an amazing job. I agree. You know, it's definitely being in a space like it was mentioned previously. Not only is something that you're agreeing to, but even during the act, you know, that can change, and you have the ability to withdraw. So you all did an amazing job at explaining it, far better than I can articulate it, I say.
Consent is sexy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, absolutely. Okay, so now that we are consenting to be in the space, and now we're in the space, so a question I have for the panelists, and those of you who are joining us in online and in the studio audience, by a show of hands or typing into the chat, how many of you have had bad sex? Okay, so it's a unanimous encounter that we all have bad sex. Okay, so what is bad sex, and what do you consider to be bad sex? Start off with you, Kat.
I would consider bad sex to be an experience where I'm truly disconnected from my partner. There's no communication about what's happening. They're not paying attention to my verbal cues, my physical cues. You know, there's no attention given in that moment. So to me, that is the type of thing that produces a bad sex situation. Like, you're not paying attention, you're not listening to my sounds, you're not looking at my reactions, you're just going off whatever the script is in your head of what you think is supposed to be happening right now. And those, I mean, without getting into details or throwing out any names, that's the best way I can describe like a bad sex situation. You know, like for me, you know, like the attraction or the turn on starts far before that act starts. So for me, if the conversation is bad, you know, but those are things I know now. If the conversation is bad, then most likely this would not be a good partner, because we wouldn't be able to have that chemistry to even communicate physically or verbally what needs to be happening. That is horrible.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's amazing. Taji?
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I would definitely say communication. For me, like, if we've kind of agreed upon something and we have something in mind, and when we actually are in the process of it, some turns be changing and things be going on, like, that doesn't necessarily feel like a good sexual experience. And also, if there isn't space for like play, and like if there's not space for us to be in this moment and it to be an experience, like unless it is, you know, unless it is an agreed upon performance, I'm not necessarily interested in it being a performance and feeling like a script. And so I think if there is a moment in which, like you're saying, it kind of moves into a script of a sort, then that for me is not, like, that can feel like bad sex. And what's coming to my mind and my body is, like, you know, if there is a disconnection from my own self, right? Like, what's going on in that moment where I need to be, like, you know, really check in, and not necessarily making that bad sex, but something that is worth noting for myself and taking a pause.
All right, awesome. Madam Trixie, what is bad sex for you?
I would like to say that I agree with all the things that you all said, but I'd like to add not paying attention to the things that I like, that are pleasing to me, that I've maybe discussed with you, that I liked, or even not paying attention to my cues. You know, am I leaning in more? Am I making more sounds? Have I gone silent? You're not checking in or paying attention to me is something that is bad sex to me, because who are you having sex with then? Like, not me. because you're not paying attention to me and what my needs are. And I also will say that bad sex is definitely if I don't communicate, like, what I do and don't like. So yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I agree with everything everybody said here. And, I'm definitely, for me, I'm definitely an energy person, and I usually say if your list of don't do's is longer than your list of do's, let me add you don't do me
Right.
to that list.
Right.
I know we all have our likes and dislikes, but it's definitely about being in the space and being able to have that energy. And if there's a block in that energy, that passion, that sort of thing, that definitely turns me off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. Thank you. I like the energy aspect of it, yes.
Yeah,
For sure. Absolutely.
that is really important. So I want to ask, when thinking about what sex is and what sex should be like, we know that things like the movies and music and TV have a lot of sexual imagery, and it can impact how we feel and how people see sex. What impact, if any, do you feel that these things have on society's idea of sex? And we'll go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I'll start with you.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely believe that movies, music, TV, social media, in my personal opinion, I feel like we are surrounded by sexual imagery all the time. And so those cues, those images absolutely are like feeding us in what we're thinking about. And so if someone is not really taking their own internal inventory around what they may like, what they may be interested in, then absolutely that's impacting them. And it impacts us all regardless. But I think the extent of which we then act on stuff or we then make that our own sexual interest does require you to kind of do your own internal reflection on that. And so, yes, I absolutely believe that music, movies, TV, social media can create a script for a lot of us around what we're interested in.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. What
Yeah.
about you?
You know what? It's funny. We were just having a conversation earlier today about how the R&B songs from the 90s were really toxic. And we were taught that was love, girl, I love. And then somebody singing to you, begging you to come outside, that's stalking. But we were singing and jamming to this stuff. And a lot of us walked into some toxic situations thinking like, but he loved me, he crying for me in the rain. I think now with more mental health therapists coming out and talking about what healthy relationships look like, really point out how our music has been toxic for us, how movies portray us, like they show the romantic interest in movies where the man is emotionally unavailable and the woman is just following him, and it's just toxic. And we enjoyed those were like cult classics for us. But I think the narrative now, having more conversations like these, can kind of help change your perspective on what a healthy relationship looks like. So I implore you, if what was the vampire movie that they were like the wolf versus the vampire?
I know what you're talking about. Twilight.
Twilight. That was toxic. If you are looking for a romance and you are modeling what you're looking for after a movie like Twilight, please see a professional.
Mm-hmm. That makes me think of that movie that came out, He's Just Not That Into You.
Yeah.
That
Right,
topic
yeah,
in the beginning
absolutely.
where the little girl's in the sandbox and the boy throws dirt in her eyes and she goes home and cries about what he did, and the mom is like, oh, he likes you, that's why he threw dirt in your eyes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we've been trained to think in those ways. So what about you?
Yeah, I think from a male perspective, and particularly when you're supposed to be the domineering one in the bedroom, that and show up as the bedroom bully, that every performance is supposed to be a spectacular performance. That I think that sometimes, in separating between what someone's preference may be from what expectations are, I feel that sometimes that contributes to like some of the variety that people want because they expect this every time. So it even more contributes to like casual encounters because it may be like that the first time because that energy, that that excitement, that unknown, and that stuff is there. But when you talk about on a long-term way, you don't show up the same way every time when you have an encounter. And for some, that can be that could be a turnoff, or not match those expectations of showing up and having that stellar performance every single time.
Well, and I appreciate you for bringing it up because I do believe that opens up the conversation to like really what sex should be, because I believe that is something that if you are taking it from the movies or the music or TV, that will be an ever-changing thing. It will not be something that you have defined for yourself and that you are continuously defining throughout your life within your relationship or within your agreements, within your agreements. So yeah, I think it's thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about TV influence, let's talk a little bit more specifically about porn, for example, because a lot of people have a lot of strong feelings about porn, and whether it's fantasy, whether it's reality, and the impact that has. Kat?
I'm glad you asked. Shout out to Royal Fetish Film family. But I feel I get this question a lot, especially when we're doing our sex education classes, like, would porn ruin a relationship? And I say that porn won't ruin your relationship no more than a cooking show is about to ruin your dinner. It can give you a formula for something in variety. It could give you a talking point. For example, people say, well, Kat, how do I introduce something new into the bedroom? And I'm like, well, is it a particular technique or something you want to try? Yes. Okay, do you have it on film, what you want to try? Because then you have a talking point with your partner, like, okay, now you see how he's doing that right there? I think we can do that. And that kind of opens the conversation of what is your body capable of, like, hey, your hip might be out, I'm in that age group, like, hey.
We can't do all of that now.
My hip went out last week, but it leaves
that's
room for
sexy.
having.
We're gonna need to make
hip is out.
It can be sexy. Figure it out.
Listen, you got to make adjustments. Just like when you take a working class, they always give you the modification, the adjustment, and you maybe have, maybe sometimes you might happen upon a class where the people making the film might actually be in the room. I don't know, but they can tell you what the modification is for that particular move that you want to try. But I think it just is a talking point of, it gives you an idea of something you want to try, or maybe it just fucking entertains you or turns you on, or, might give you that stellar performance that you were looking for because you had some type of inspiration.
Yes. Thank you.
Tashi, what about you and porn?
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective. I think porn can have a neutral-ish impact, and I think for me I would never as a mental health provider want to say that it is all bad or all wrong. And also I feel like if you are not coming to it with a critical eye as it being entertainment, then it absolutely can have a very negative impact on you, right? If you're using this as your sole piece of sexual education of how you understand your body, that is most likely not the best approach to look at sex, I think going back to like the TV and the music, with the level of like access to social media that young people have, that people have in general, right? Like those sexual images are kind of everywhere. And so, I don't know, I think that it has the power to be very informative, give some ideas, But I think you do have to kind of take it on as something that's entertainment and be critical and be aware of what your own desires are. Like, it is not a place, it's not to take the script from. Like, I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing. It is not the script you take. That is something that you just acknowledge, you get entertainment from. Like, you have to kind of have an awareness of it. Is that the right word for it? Maybe like an awareness of what the functionality of porn can be for you.
Now, I hate to put you on the spot, but when we talked about
Oh
this
yeah, I did. I was a little spicy. Yeah, I can get a little spicy. I mean, I think if you want my spicy answer, I think people, if we're going from like a layered intersectional approach, I think that sometimes people view porn from a place of like, this is what sex needs to be, and if that is what the route is for you, then you will be having disappointing sex, because that is, like I said earlier, like not everybody is over 6 foot. Like, if you look at what the average U.S. male's height is, that's 5'9". So, like, let's be realistic about what you're expecting from people and their bodies and your body. Like, I think that's, you want the spicy answer is like, really, like, you should not be comparing your body to what you see in porn. That should be a source of entertainment, right? Like, that's like, we not trying, like, you can't expect all men to be LeBron James. Like, you're not, like, let's think about it. Viola Davis is Viola Davis for a reason. She has a natural skill set probably for herself, and also she's been in school, and so I think there's certain things that, like, there's a critical eye that I believe that is lacking within Black LGBTQ spaces around sex and porn and what is expected of their partners. And so I think it can be exciting. I think it can be informative. I don't know. Because I also just don't want it to be like this thing where I sound like it's just purely negative. I don't believe it's purely negative.
So I think we'll have to say the real comment for the after show.
Yeah.
Because Taji cleaned it up quite a bit.
Yeah. So,
Stick to the after show for the true comment.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So I think that I agree with everything that you all said, for sure. I would like to add, as far as the part around, can it be fantasy or is it your reality? I think that the part that invites room for you to be creative in your situations is that you can create and make a fantasy, right? A scene around what you want, right? Even sometimes that part around the creation of what I want to do that's the thing, right? That's the turn on. That's not necessarily that it has to be porn, but that can be your foreplay, right? Even in that, I think that porn can invite a person to, if you look at it from that perspective, the fantasy aspect, it opens the room for things like, yes, how to have consent, how to communicate, how to negotiate if you are creating a story, which is what porn is. I also think that on the other side, that with all things, there's the side of things can be abusive, because you may be addicted to a thing, and then you lose your natural way to conduct yourself in whatever the situations that you are in, and now it is your reality, where you can create some imbalances within yourself, and you're not able to even, like, everything becomes over-sexualized in your life. And I think that it just depends on the person. I think as it pertains to watching porn, I think it's also in relation to, how are you using it? Like, is it your way to cope for yourself because you don't have a partner? And when you get one, you're like, I need to watch this in order to react. And it can take away from just that chemistry that we could have, right? And the energy, if you don't have a way to really process, this goes back to what the question around the imagery that we see. If you don't know how to kind of filter out and process that, it can be something else. But again, it is something to create and inspire as well.
Yeah, actually, for me, I saw porn before I actually had my first sexual encounter. So, even though, I did come from a family where we did talk about sex and things like that, but it was from, I guess, a parental appropriate lens, So actually what goes down in the bedroom, I don't know. I mean, maybe in other households, those conversations happen too. But that was where, at least ideas of things that were going on and exploration of like, that seems interesting. Or like, hell no, that definitely ain't something I'm about to do, So, I think, you all touched on some very important points. There's, a healthy part of it that can be healthy, and it can be an unhealthy portion where if it becomes what you need in order to get off, that could be considered, unhealthy. But I definitely think that, and as Taji said, as long as that's not your only source of education around sex, I think it can have a positive impact. And now with things like OnlyFans and amateur porn and stuff like that, some of the stuff is pretty realistic. It is what happens. Then there's some fantasy, but ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of fancy.
Yeah. It's definitely like what you said. I think I was at my grandma's house, and I was, sorry, y'all. I was at my, rest in power. I was at my grandma's house, and like she had like this, like the old school, like, why do you have so many tapes in this big, thing? And there was like all the tapes that were in the thing, and that stuff was like really bad acting. The camera's fuzzy. What is that ugly hair? That ugly outfit? What is this that this person is saying? I ain't had
The missing nail.
The missing nail.
Missing nail?
Like
Oh,
something
shit.
like the place just looks like this is the crime scene, and this is where you're shooting this to, I guess, be inspired and be an enthusiast in the bedroom. And I think that for me, that affected me where I'm just like, yeah, no, I could do without, because of seeing that. It was like, this is really bad. This is a terrible movie. What is this? And then seeing things now, it seems like people are, they are shifting the narrative to where you get to create what it is you want to see. And like I said, there are, like some people that are sex education people that actually teach you classes around how to create a scene, right? So we do those things.
I think it's also important, regardless of what kind of movie it is, to find out who's telling the story, right? Because sometimes find out who's telling the story can give you proper social context in which things are happening. So if you have, Black content creators, Black filmmakers and things like that, that porn will look different than what you've traditionally been used to seeing. It will give, that social context between, same-sex relationships or male, female. I mean, like, I'm even, being very entertained by, seeing trans scenes and things like that. Shout out to my T-girls. Y'all are gorgeous dolls out there. But, just who's telling the story. And I think that becomes more important, if there were more, there are more queer stories out there, but there are queer stories told from a queer lens, and that story looks authentic, like when these people embrace each other, you can tell it was a loving embrace. Of course, you're gonna have the ones where, they break in your house, that kind of crazy fantasy and kinks and things like that. But I just think it's really important to find out who's telling these stories.
And they have amazing soundtracks. Brown chicka, brown, brown, no. I'm just saying.
We've come a long way from the black couch. Yes.
Yes. Well, now it is time for us to play a quick game called Let Me Get That or That's Whack. So everybody, we have our signs for us to just hold it up when you are, what's whack? Well, let me get that. And those of you that are online, please type in the chat, let me get that, or that's whack, right? As we go over a couple of these, right? Yeah. So here we go, right? Toe sucking. I can't see y'all. Okay, see, I'm the only other one. But I did nails for 23 years, so like it's different, right?
Yeah.
Feet means something different for me in the whole. Yeah. And I love doing feet. Direct clitoral touch.
Wash your hands.
And cut those nails and clean and brush under them.
Or penile.
Yes.
Or the head.
Still clean
Or
your
your
hands.
head. Right?
Still wash your hands.
Please.
And cut those nails and brush under those nails. Okay, thanks.
If it's in the park, do the best you can.
Using teeth.
Ooh, that depends on where.
And you know what I'm gonna say? It depends also your technique, because you can do all kinds of things. It doesn't mean that, you have to bite down like this is your sandwich, things like that. You can do things, or you might like that. Okay, natural scents. Now, I want to add to that.
Please let me get that.
What do you mean with natural scent, though? Because are you meaning natural scent such as like, I really appreciate your pheromones, natural scent, or are you at you ain't washed your jazz in a couple of days? That's your natural scent, right? Where are we at with that? And I think I would like to add just now, I'll go deeper and ask, good hygiene with that natural scent.
Let me get that.
Let me get that. Yes.
Yes. I'm with you. Good hygiene.
Good hygiene. Yes.
I ain't gonna play. Some post-running smell I'm okay with that. Let me get that.
Okay. No, we'll know.
like
post-running.
We not gonna go yet.
Workout, let me get that. Okay. I'm okay with some pheromones, some scents. But ideally within the realm of, I got a range of hygiene. You gotta have a range. I got a range. The people who know.
Yeah, I like that. The understanding of, is this a pheromone thing that's happening, or again, you ain't washed your jazz in about a week. And I am definitely not, I don't want that. That's whack. Okay.
Yeah, I like it after a shower with some baccarat.
Yeah.
Or some yolk. We go old school, we do some yolk.
Yes. Some tussie. I just was asking. Somebody else might have not yucking anyone's yum, right?
No, we're
Okay.
not yucking anybody's yum.
You might like that. Quickies.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let me get that.
Yeah, let me get that.
I want to ask: is
Yes.
there? So I want to add something to that. AM quickies.
Pre-work quickies, we love those.
It just can't be
Yeah.
a quickie every time.
Correct.
Okay.
Listen.
All right.
I want mine. All of it.
Okay. PM quickies.
For the meeting, please, and thank you.
Okay. Because sometimes that does matter, right? Like, morning sex, evening sex. It depends, right?
Anytime with o'clock behind it.
Yes. Love it.
11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1
Yes.
o'clock.
Yes.
Anytime.
Anytime.
Let me get it.
And also, sometimes that quickie is just the appetizer.
It's the appetizer.
Don't play.
Yes.
It gets you started.
Because you might have to go to work. I
Uh-huh.
gave you a little something. I'll be back
Yes, for the rest.
for the rest.
Please and thank you.
Love it. Sex under the influence.
Now, you know, it's been moments, but you know,
No.
it's been moments.
Yeah.
Not right now, currently.
Okay, look at
Not
we
currently.
we
Not
all
currently.
agree.
Not currently.
We all agree.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can wholeheartedly say that.
Super long sessions.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to see who I was sitting
Come
here with.
through, Tantra.
Yes. Routine sex. Now, I have some questions around it. I can't really answer that because what's routine sex?
Maybe planned sex, like when it's planned, or if you already you might know. Okay, it comes. Okay, they're gonna do oral sex first, and then they're gonna just kind of routine, like when you can kind of predictive sex, I guess.
Okay, so I'm going to answer that with the premises of if you're already in a situation with a person and it's already good all the time, and you all are trying to make time and figure it out, and usually, the outcome is good, and you planned it, yeah, go ahead, because I've got stuff to do. So let's go ahead and get that 5 o'clock. Let's
On
go
the
ahead.
dot.
Yeah, let's get that right.
Now, and that kind of reminds me of something. I mean, a way different topic, but I used to because when people think about like spontaneity or spontaneous sex versus planned sex, I used to think about like when and stay in contact with family as far as calls and stuff like that. I noticed that my younger sister, she would always call and check in. I'm like, dang, I wish I would have checked in. And then I commented on it to her about it. I said, you know what? I realized I really appreciate you always call, to check in and da da. She's like, I put it in my calendar. It's like, what? You you got to put me in your calendar? At first I was kind of like offended, like you got to schedule time to talk to me. But, life gets in the way, we get busy, and that within itself shows, care and concern that you schedule it and take out that time. So,
Yeah.
So when it comes to sex, I can definitely see where scheduled sex.
Yeah, I mean, especially
Pencil
if
me in.
you are the person that are busy and you don't want to let your schedule conflict with, I need to have this time with you. So people always love to say that thing, you make time for what you want to do. Okay, so if you want to do this with that person and you're busy, schedule it.
It's okay.
It's okay. Okay. Getting pounded.
Well, all the time, that's whack. But I guess.
I think I could say maybe both to that.
Yeah.
Like, is there?
It depends on when.
Is it all the time? Every time? Probably no. For me. And are there things like what are the variables around that? Like, am I tired? Is this the scheduled thing? Is this the? I don't know. I could probably see like not every time. Okay.
My caveat is, do you know how I like it?
Period.
If you know how I like to get pounded, you know the moment in which we can go there, then yes, let me get that.
Yes.
Well, thank you all, because that was interesting and hot. Talking about what we want, what we don't want. But just one thing, the Tonight Show was actually inspired by a pretty popular social media video. And so it kind of discusses and touches on a topic that can be pretty taboo, but possibly more common to us than we care to admit. So let's take a snippet or watch a snippet of that video.
Okay, so me and you've been in a relationship for some time now, and I just gotta ask, how do you know you love me?
You don't want the answer to that.
Yes, I do.
No, but like you really don't. And I'm the type of person, I'm always gonna tell you the truth no matter what.
Right.
And you don't want the answer to that.
I want the honest, truthful answer to
No, I
this.
promise you, like if I tell you the answer, we might break up.
I want the answer.
You sure? No, you sure? Like I'm really giving you the chance to back out of this. Are you sure? 100% positive. This is what you want.
I am 100% sure I want the
Your
answer.
pussy is trash. And I didn't care. That's how I knew I really was in love with you.
Wow.
I told you didn't want to hear that. but I love you. Like that's, I love you for everything else. You feel me? Like I'm just not here for sex. You feel me? Genuine love, but that's how I knew I really loved you.
Wow. Okay, so
Wow. So I want to get some reactions from this video. So if you're watching online, go ahead and type in the chat. What are your thoughts around this video? I want to know, what are your thoughts around this video? Right. So, Keitaji.
I'm stuck.
Okay, that's real.
I'm
That's real.
stuck.
Mhm.
My immediate response is not everything has to be recorded, you know? However, earlier you all did make a good point that maybe this was for educational purposes. And if that is the case, yeah, I think it opens the door for some real conversation. That's kind of my immediate response is being floored immediately, number one. Number two, if this is for educational purposes, y'all did a good job. Number three, if this is for real, and she did not know, I'm knocked out on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kat, what about you? How do you feel about this
Oh,
video?
oh my God. Okay, so a few things. I see red flags coming from both sides, to be honest. One, if they're supposed to be in long-term relationship, because he, kept saying, I love you. I mean, they're in the car together, maybe they live together. How is it that her sex has been unaddressed this long? Because it sounds like they've had, I'm not in anybody's business, but I'm assuming that they done touched each other before this video. And why wasn't it addressed then? And two, just having to deal with, basically you're with someone that say, I want to be with you, but I'm rejecting you, so she has to deal with that rejection, of I'm not here for your sex, but you're obviously in a romantic sexual relationship. What do you do? Because I'm also going to make the assumption that they're possibly monogamous. So then you feel kind of trapped. Like, wait, you're not here for sex. Wait, I'm not having sex with anybody else. What are you doing? So that just, it's kind of cringe that none of that was addressed before that video. My God.
Yes. Jerome, what about you?
Well, first, and I want to preface this because I don't mean to be insensitive or appear to be insensitive about anybody's feeling around this, because it can be pretty triggering. I was cracking up laughing, and not because of course, the video when I first saw it, I was shocked and I laughed, but the reactions as it was playing, Kat was devastated, just the look on her face, and I just couldn't stop laughing. And I think that this is, there's a lot of components to it. One, considering if this was not something for entertainment purposes, if this
Right.
wasn't something and if it was, they were very successful at getting the views. I was entertained, definitely. But it also kind of captured one of the essence of what this show is about. One, we talk about the fact that a relationship should not just be based upon sex. Is that situation? Well, there's many components to their relationship that were important, and even though they've had a better experience elsewhere, possibly, or it just wasn't what they felt like it was all cracked up to be, they continue to be in this relationship, and from what they understand, they love her, and the sensitive nature of having a conversation with somebody when things just aren't right in the bedroom. Like, how many people don't have those conversations?
Right.
I used to work for a company, and their tagline was, we're getting rid of boring sex. And it was stated that, bad sex is like the third leading cause to divorce, in the United States. So there's a lot of non-communication and bad sex happening that's going unaddressed. Was the delivery the best?
No.
But definitely speaks to something that I think is, like I said, many of us probably have had experience with, and yeah, don't talk about.
Yeah, I think one of the things that stood out to me the most was him at first. If this was not something scripted, him at first trying to really was like he was talking to himself. Right. It was like, I want to say this. I should have said something. I didn't say this. I don't know how to say this. I'm afraid to say this. I know that you're not going to like this. And I'm worried about the judgment around what I'm feeling. But it signifies how long, because now you're in this dialogue with yourself like this. That means this did not just happen last night, because now I've been going through this, and now I'm at the phase of where I love you, and I don't know how to navigate with my communication around this. And I feel like he might have needed to have a moment of like, listen, one, don't film this,
Cut this off.
cut it off,
Cut this off.
and like you maybe should have, if you didn't know how to talk to her about it, talk to somebody else at 1st. But it also just shows the psychological hamster wheel that people go through around things concerning sex, because it felt also outside the scripted part, like he was really just looking for any way to address this, and he did not have a way beforehand because of lack of communicating anyway. So yeah.
And I want to. So after being stunned that was a thing that got filmed and it was on the social medias, it is like, for me, the fact that like he kept saying "I love you" though. Like if this is not scripted, there is literally, in that experience you could see him trying to massage that insecurity, that tension that happened in that relationship moment with "I love you" though, right? I love you. Like he kept trying to be like, "I love you," to try to, I guess, get that bid for connection after just saying like, "Yo, shit is whack." Like being not having the communication skills, or struggling to have the communication skills beforehand to have said something that was a challenge in our relationship, and then saying, "How do I keep this thing together?" And so there's a lot happening in that. However long that video was, there was a lot happening in that moment.
Yeah, in that, whether it's something that goes undiscussed, or some of us may have had an encounter with someone who has like a really big ego. They talk a lot of game, about what they can do when it's time to deliver. The delivery ain't quite what they hyped it up to be. They think their sex is the bomb, and it ended up being a bomb.
Yikes.
So when talking about that, whose responsibility is it to let a partner know that the sex was bad? Like, is and under what circumstances is it your responsibility as the person who encountered or felt that it was a bad experience to communicate it?
Anybody involved?
I will have to say that each individual should take responsibility for their pleasure.
Period.
Thank you.
Sorry.
If you are receiving or giving in those moments, and any feedback, whether it's good, it's your responsibility to tell your partner that I had a good time when you did XYZ. That could be the sexy part of the conversation, right? But also, if you want more of something, if you want less of something, you should take the responsibility for your pleasure one of the things, and I guess this goes back to that video, is what negated him saying "I love you" was the fact that he was afraid to say something, which means a sign of distrust.
Right.
Do you really love me if you don't trust me to tell me what my sex is to you?
Yeah.
How can you say, you see, this is why I was so devastated. How can you sit here and say you love me if you can't if you're afraid, you don't trust what my reaction is going to be.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll fix it. Maybe I'll do some more Kegels. Maybe I'll do some stretches, some yoga, maybe we'll add in a toy. I don't know. But the conversation has to be had without any ill intent being taken. Because that's what he's saying. Like, oh, if I say this to you, it's gonna feel like ill intent.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't trust me and you feeling away, is it ill intent? How did you really mean to hurt me with this? So saying I love you kind of negated that. So I just feel like, but just on a higher context on things, it is each individual's responsibility to advocate for your pleasure. If it's good, say it's good. If it's not so good and you're concerned about how to bring that out, you can say, you know what, I I saw what you were doing with that, and I think it would be better if we tried it this way. Maybe next time we could try it this way, or I really didn't like that at all. And you can say why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's constructive criticism for that. Because if you were at work, that's how you would talk about if you were working on a project with somebody, you would just come out and damn say it.
You would hope.
Yeah.
And I think that's you're getting to the point. You're getting to the point of like, and we haven't talked about it yet, but I think it goes back maybe earlier to the conversation around like what is influencing our ideas around sex. If we're getting these kind of images and these movies that say, love is this thing and sex is this thing, or depending on your cultural context or what you know about love and sex, it might be a chemistry is this and love is this. So there's all these things that, can go into a moment like this where I really do appreciate what you're saying. Like the way I am on the same page with you around the aspect of love. Love includes challenging conversations. Love includes opportunities for growth. Love includes, like love would have been, hey, this was a thing that I did not enjoy, or this, or I like it, or I enjoy it more, or it is more pleasurable when X, Y, Z is done this way.
Yes.
Like giving somebody the opportunity to actually change
Yes.
would have been love. And at the same time, we don't know.
Yes,
Right.
you.
What's the
This,
context?
Now, does it change as far as the effort and energy you put into it, whether it's a casual contact versus a long-term relationship, as we imagine this one to be in this particular video?
Here you go.
Like, does the responsibility change? Does the effort behind the conversation change if it's a casual encounter?
I think it depends for me.
I think it's the effort. If it's a casual situation, you in your mind you can say, well, I don't have to be a partner with them again. I don't have to engage in sexual activities with that person again. But if it's long term and it's a long term romantic commitment, then you would put in the effort to make sure that it's successful in all aspects, whether you're doing platonic things or sexual things or not, but you're going to put in more effort if you're looking for long term.
Yes, thank you for that. And so I just want to actually go into just kind of talking about some things that are like outside of when it's outside of your actual performance, some things that can contribute to bad sex. So things like, poor sleep, your diet, your mental health, medical conditions like diabetics and how that can lead to them having ED, thyroid issues, hormonal imbalances, and also your past trauma, including sexual traumas that you may have experienced. Those are definitely things that will that can affect how you are as far as what we may call bad sex. And I want to just ask if each of you could just say just one thing, because we're close with time, one thing that, in addition to those things that you think could lead to bad sex outside of performance.
I'll say stress, like if you have a lot of things on your plate going on at the time and you're struggling to prioritize how to even deal with the stressful things, that can absolutely, depending on who you are, uh, put sex higher up or put sex lower. How you're navigating your environment can absolutely impact, um, I think, the quality of sex you have.
Um, that's a really good list that's there already, plus what you said. So I would just have to add um, being how connected are you with yourself? Have you checked in with yourself? Are you checked in with how stressed you feel? Have you checked in with your body with, how do you feel today? Are you disconnected from it? Do you feel like being touched today? you know, uh, I think sometimes people offer themselves without checking in first. And it's kind of like offering your partner a raw steak when you know they like it medium well. And you just give them the steak, like, well, here, damn. Instead of checking in with yourself to figure out, is this something you actually want today? Is this something you actually need? Is is it something else you need? Like maybe I don't want to be pounded. Maybe I need a hug today. But those are things that are okay to check in with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say one additional thing is, and we talked about like energy, but some of the hangups and things like that can be rooted in even like influence in religion. What the idea of a virtuous woman is. What type of things are will emasculate you as a man.
Oh,
Those sorts of things as to what people may hold back on or feel a certain way and not be able to be comfortable in having sex because of the stigma that's associated with that. So sometimes those things, all of those things come into the bedroom, and
Yeah.
without communication, we never know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. I want to kind of just go into asking, have you ever been guilty of bringing what would be considered the bad sex into the bedroom?
Yeah, we've been pointing fingers at everybody, but
Right.
Like, is there, and not necessarily, like, just show of hands, have you ever been the person, right? And if you have been, you can type in the chat, right? Um, I just want to ask, how did you address that, right? As far as the trash you brought in, how did you take out your trash?
So I can say for myself, I think it depends. If it was something that I noticed without having to like check in with somebody, I clocked it. I was like, okay, all right. That was not usually how we like to do this thing, or that was not usually how I like to perform in this certain kind of way. It was a self kind of reflection and check on myself. Um, and then like following up, so it wasn't just maybe in my own head thinking that in fact it was actually get that confirmation that, oh, actually that was trash. And or like I do like to check in with partners and see how the experience was for them. And so like someone being open enough to share like, hey, that wasn't great, taking that in and doing something with it. And so those are two ways for me that I'm like, okay, all right, like let me check in with myself. Like I know I know what I like to give and what I like to bring. And if that was not something that I was able to do that day, like let me make sure with that person that we had that experience with, was that true? Because it could just be in my own head. It could be my own kind of self stuff. But if it was not my own self stuff, let's make that shit work. Let's do something about that.
Okay, you, Miss Katz, how would you demonstrate how you are dealing with how you bring up your trash that you may have brought? How would you take accountability in that part?
In my defense,
Okay.
You weren't supervised.
my best performance comes sober. So I went out on a date, and we had already discussed. The answer is yes, right? So this person felt that I needed all these beverages, and we were at a particular wine place where they bring you different drinks. And they're like, oh, you want to try this? You want to try that? You want to try this? Yeah. So by the time we got to that part of our evening, Pimp was down. Pimp was down. Because I could not, like I was making coherent sentences at that point, but like to have the dexterity and the physical prowess, I had to just sleep that off.
Mm-hmm.
And they were they were nice enough to let me sleep that off, and we continued a few hours later when I could sleep that off. So that's how we addressed that issue. And now we know my best performance comes sober.
I'll plead the fifth. Because if I tell the story, I'd have to admit that I have had more casual encounters than not. And so many times in those casual encounters, I've done nothing because it's kind of like it's gonna come off as defensive anyway. Like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Just just another one bites the dust. It's kind of which might not be the healthiest way, but like I said, So in those cases, now when there was a bad experience when it was a long-term relationship, in that particular instance, my partner knew that it was something like, oh, what's going on there? What happened? So it was more ground to have a conversation because there were other things to compare it to,
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think we have time to. We spoke about actually what and how we would demonstrate what our bad sex is, right? I want to go to just the tip, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that we can talk about that part, right? And just kind of wrap things up. So our topic, we've been talking about what our bad sex has been like. And I want to just give a tip around one, if you feel like you've been in a situation where you've had some bad sex and you want some education around things, some tools, you can do things like reach out to the Meow University. And also you can, if you've had an experience where you may feel or you have been violated, you can reach out to Project VIDA, right, to come and get tested, also get some mental health support, right? Jerome?
And you can reach out, as mentioned, reach out to Project VIDA. We can be reached at 773-277-2291. Again, that's 773-277-2291. And we can get you behavioral health, whether in a group or individual therapy. We also do HIV testing counseling because that also plays into a lot of safety when it comes to sex and being comfortable in your sexual experience. Now, I do think, I know we're over time, but I do think it's important for us to at least have some conversation because we looked at the video. We kind of agreed that was not necessarily the best delivery, but to have how should you approach, because that's a difficult topic, to tell somebody that they jacked up in the bed or, whatever. People hold a lot of pride when it comes to their sexual prowess. So just quickly, what are some ways to actually approach that conversation with your partner?
So, I'm wondering what time. So, do we have a time? What's the thoughts?
So go ahead and just do one of the demos around that. So
which one we want to do
which one do you feel comfortable?
I'm hoping. Which one do you feel? You as a sexual educator, Meow University. Which one would you think would be most?
We can do that long-term one.
All right, cool. All right.
So
we're doing a demo around a long-term relationship and wanting to approach a conversation when the encounter or the experience was not what pleasurable to the other partner.
Okay. And so I'm the person that's giving the feedback this time, right? Yes. Feels long term.
Hey, I had a good time with you last night. I really like when you did that thing with your left hand.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed myself a lot. And what I would share is that I think that thing, maybe I can do it differently a little bit, the thing, but I know for sure, maybe next time we can do that other thing we did that I usually really like a little differently. Maybe we can go back to how it was done last time. I'm happy that you like that I did the thing with my finger, but maybe we can do that other thing differently. What's your thoughts?
Are you talking about where with my left leg?
Yeah. I usually like your right leg.
Oh.
Yeah. I usually like the right leg. I like that right leg to be in that place.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
We could try that next time.
We can try that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Was it something you wanted me to change with the hand thing, or was it?
No, I know. Yeah, no. I think we was on the same page about the hand thing. It was that leg thing. Yeah, it was that leg thing.
Okay, then.
That leg.
In sync. Thank you all for that. As we said, good sex, bad sex, good relationship, bad relationship. It's all about communication. And so, given the right space and the right time, we agree that bad sex in some cases can be fixed.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, you said bad sex can be fixed.
Can be fixed.
Yes.
in some cases?
Yes. I believe-
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Before we go, we want to have a few quick announcements.
Yes, thank you. So, starting Saturday, August 23rd, Project VIDA and Link Up Chicago will be starting the drop-in Link Up Lounge at the center on Cottage Grove, located at 6323 South Cottage Grove from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, you can call us or text us at 844-94-2-LINK. That is 844-942-5465.
And Project VIDA, along with 5 other queer-led and queer or allied organizations, brings to you the Mind, Body, and Soul Health and Wellness Circle, where we offer free mental, spiritual, and physical wellness programming. You can come check us out here at Project VIDA. We have free dance classes, yoga, massage, acupuncture, cooking classes, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and massage and acupuncture actually during the day from 9 to 6, as well as on Saturdays. Our cooking classes are every Monday with Chef Blake or Chef Nick. For more information, feel free to give us a call at 773-277-2291. Again, that's 773-277-2291.
Thank you. And don't forget, if you're here in person, remember you can get tested for free here at Project VIDA. We take walk-ins. They are accepted Monday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you want that toy box delivered, just sign up for your free HIV test with your results, and it's on the way. Test, play, and repeat. We want to say thank you to our special guest, but I want to say thank you first to my amazing co-host for today. Thank you for being present here and filling in and doing your thing. Thank you for Kat from the Meow University. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Keitaji, for your presence. And I want to say thanks to our team that have been working behind the scenes so diligently. Thank you so much. You do just a great, amazing job. And thank you for exploring what it means to show up with power and protection. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe.
Lucy, I'm sorry. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep it sexy. Thank you.
Reading is fundamental.